Did you know that here in France, insulting the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, is freedom of speech? But making fun of the French President Emmanuel Macron, the head of the Republic, is wrong. Well, that's what newspaper reports are saying recently. Looking here at one by the news agency Reuters, headlined French President Emmanuel Macron sues billboard owner for depicting him as Hitler. Well, the article says in part that the president is suing a billboard owner who depicts him as Adolf Hitler to protest COVID-19 restrictions. The chap who owns 400 billboards in southern France wrote on Twitter 2 days ago, "I have just learned that I will be heard at the Toulon police station," that's on the south coast, "tomorrow," that'll be yesterday, "following a complaint by the President of the Republic." The offending poster portrays Macron in the uniform of the Nazi leader Hitler with a small moustache, a lock on his forehead, and the acronym of the presidential movement LREM turned into a swastika. The message reads, "Obey, get vaccinated." So it's clearly an anti-vaccination, bit of a jibe there at him. Interestingly, according to the same article, the offence of insulting the President of the Republic was repealed in 2013 after a European Court of Human Rights ruling condemned France. So there you go. It's still not. It's still permissible, apparently legally, to do so. But anyway, the president has complained. Now, what I find very interesting about this is several things. Now, I like France. There's so much about this country I like. It has exquisite food. It has beautiful countryside. The climate is amazing. And not to speak of the cheeses. The cheeses are amazing. The part of France I live in has beautiful architecture. The people are very nice. So, and the history is quite extraordinary, good and bad. But there is an exquisite hypocrisy here. I refer here, for example, a news article also by the same news agency, headlined, "France's Macron," the same guy, "refuses to condemn Charlie Hebdo cartoons of Prophet Muhammad. The president defended citizens' right to freedom of speech. His remarks came as the satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo, the target of a massacre of gunmen in 2015, said it was republishing the cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, believe it or not. And he said, the president said, it was not his place to pass judgment on the decision of Charlie Hebdo to publish these cartoons. Again, unbelievable. And he said, apparently, there is in France a freedom to blaspheme, which is attached to the freedom of conscience. I am here to protect all these freedoms." An actual quote from the French president. "In France, one can criticize a president, governors, and blaspheme," he said. So what's going on here then? Why is the French president suddenly getting very sensitive about a satirical cartoon of himself, with a little moustache, protesting against his very kind of hard words about insisting French citizens get vaccinated, but defending everyone's right to free speech, to blaspheme even when it comes to Muhammad? That seems like selective freedom of speech to me. Double standards, hypocrisy. Maybe the additional constitutional slogan to liberté, égalité, fraternité should be to say, "You are free to say whatever we agree with." That should be the new slogan of the French Republic. It's actually worse than this, really, because there have been a spate of incidents, even in the last weeks. There has been 2 imams in a mosque in Paris who, during a sermon, are now being stopped and sacked by the government. The Interior Minister here, the Home Secretary, insisted on their removal. What was their crime? Were they calling for terrorism? Were they calling for the overthrow of the French state? Were they calling for... What were they doing that was so bad? No, they were merely preaching directly from the Quran, and it was about the traditional gender roles that many Muslims believe are relevant to Muslims' lives these days. And for that offence against this kind of secular militant wokeism, they were actually removed permanently from their posts. No freedom of speech there. And worse than that, their leave to remain, once it expires, comes to its natural end, will not be renewed, and they'll be forced to leave the country. Where is the outcry about that, I ask you? Where are the outpourings of anger about freedom to express views in the name of liberty, of the Constitution, the French Republic, that we heard over the Charlie Hebdo cartoons? Now, I just want to say something a little bit about these cartoons. I've had the misfortune to have seen a number of them. Some of them are pretty silly. I mean, I go to Speaker's Corner, this is pretty, but some of them are really offensive. And I'm not even going to describe what they portray, but they are thoroughly nasty by any standards. And to use such depictions of a holy prophet of God, whether it be Jesus or Muhammad or Moses, peace be upon them all, is unacceptable in a civilized society. And France, of all countries, considers itself civilized. It thinks it gave birth to civilization. There are many things in this country one cannot say publicly to do with certain historical events in the 1930s and 40s, which I won't repeat. One can't make allegedly homophobic statements or anti-Semitic statements or other kinds of statements. There are lots of ways that freedom of speech does not exist to express your, personal convictions about life. So, but the other things which do exist, the freedom to defame and insult the prophet is supported at the highest levels in the name of freedom. So this kind of double standards, this hypocrisy, this selective freedom of speech, I think is very obvious indeed. It's obvious to the rest of the world, actually. It's rooted deep in the French Republic, going back to 1789, the French Revolution, which gave birth to secularism, a particular militant kind of secularism. We have secularism in the UK, but it's not quite so ferocious, not quite so imposed by the state on everyone. But the particular target today for censure, for discrimination, and for censorship are Muslims. And the European Court doesn't seem to uphold their rights. Recently upheld the right of French citizens, French employers, to discriminate against women wearing hijab in the workplace. If it's so desired, it can fire them. So there's no freedom for women to dress modestly in the workplace in France if you're a Muslim woman. Anyway, just wanted to get that off my chest. Basically, insulting the prophet is freedom of speech. Making fun of President Macron is just wrong. And this is just ridiculous. From my point of view, as a British citizen living in France at the moment, it's hypocrisy. There we are. Till next time.